Time for another one of the Roo Tales. This one happened to me, and it happened a number of years ago when I was working at a company that you've heard me refer to before as Hoodoo Brothers. I was working, and this was a place that had a foundry, and it had a fabrication shop, and the work in the fabrication shop was partially structural and then partially had to do with maintenance in the foundry. So we were going out into the plant and doing work on the various machines when they needed to have work done on them, repair, maintenance, or whatever was required. Well, I was out in the foundry, and it was in North Carolina. It was during the summertime, and one of the machines had gone down. It was called a shakeout machine. Now, a shakeout machine in a foundry is where they will take the castings. Once they're done, they'll put them on the machine. The machine rattles back and forth and knocks the silica dust or the silica sand off of the casting, so that then they can go on and take it and move it and clean it up. So that's what the shakeout machine was for. Well, it had broken because of the heavy vibration. Needed to be repaired, and the repair that needed to be accomplished was up underneath the shakeout machine. So I was back in that particular area of the plant. I had to get up underneath the shakeout machine, and it was hot in there. It was hard to get into the place where I was when I needed to do the repair and to do some welding in there. And so it was very, very hot. Now, at that particular time, I really wasn't drinking as much water as I should have been drinking. And work got longer and longer as we were trying to get this repair accomplished. And what happened was eventually, I just, because I hadn't been drinking enough water, got overheated and started to suffer from heat exhaustion. Well, at that point, you get to the situation where you can't breathe. You're not really doing very well at all. You start to really fatigue very heavily. And at that point, the partner that I was with saw that I was starting to struggle quite a bit, and he pulled me out, and then I had to go to the clinic and had to get rehydrated and had to sit it out for a while until I could get myself back together and that we could then go back to work. But the point that I want to make to you with regard to that is that that could all have been avoided simply by me staying better hydrated than I was at the time. Now, we think of hydration as being important simply during the summertime when it's hot. We may be hanging iron outside. We may be in a climate that's high in humidity. If you're down in the south at all, hanging iron, there's a lot of high humidity down there. This was in the south. Now, we think of that as being the time when it's most important to stay hydrated. But the truth is, you need to stay hydrated all year round. A lot of times during the wintertime, we tend not to drink quite as much water as we do during the summer because obviously it's not as hot and we don't feel like we're getting as dehydrated as we would during the summertime. Simply not true. We need to continue to drink water. We may need to get something that's going to replace the electrolytes that we're losing by virtue of the fact that we are sweating even in the wintertime and drying out. So hydration becomes very, very important. And there are various recommendations as to how much water you should be drinking. Some people recommend 8 to 10 glasses of 8-ounce glasses of water a day. You can look at the tables that are available. They can tell you for your height and your weight about how much water you should be drinking. All of that's available. You could Google that kind of information so you know about how much water you really should be drinking. But realize that you can get yourself in trouble. You can suffer from heat exhaustion. You could even go so far, if it gets very bad, to be dangerously close to heat stroke. There are some pretty awful things that can happen to you when you cease to be properly hydrated. So that's something that I want to bring to your attention today. It's a good health tip. It's just good for your general health under all circumstances and conditions, especially when you're in environments, perhaps working under machinery or working in hot environments inside of certain buildings where it's a little warmer than it is outside. So consider very carefully this issue of hydration, what you need to do. Don't let what happened to me happen to you. Keep yourself well hydrated so that winter or summer your hydration levels will be good and you won't start to suffer from heat or dehydration related illnesses. That's our roof tale for today. I hope that you take it to heart and it does you good to try to maintain your own health.